Rain hammered the glass like impatient knuckles. Luca Moretti stood in the dark of his office, a letter trembling between two fingers that never shook. On the paper, his mother's handwriting, the one he hadn't seen since the day she died. Then the door burst open and a woman stumbled in, breathless, bruised, terrified. "What did you bring into my house?" Luca's voice was low as thunder. "And who the hell hurt you?" Have you ever watched a powerful man go still? Not from fear, but from heartbreak. And what if the most feared man in the city became the only one willing to protect you? If you can feel the tension already, help me out. Tap, like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss stories like this. And comment. I want more Mafia love stories if you want another cinematic episode after this. Because what Luca is about to discover will change everything. Luca's office sat on the top floor of the Moretti building, a tower of glass and steel above a city that never truly slept. Outside, neon signs bled color into the wet streets. Inside, the air smelled of leather, expensive whiskey, and something older, like secrets that had been locked away so long they'd started to rot. The woman near the doorway tried to stand straight, but her knees betrayed her. Her hair was dark and soaked, clinging to her cheeks. A thin line of mascara had run down her face like a tear that refused to be wiped away. She held one hand over her ribs like it hurt to breathe. Luca didn't move from behind his desk. He didn't need to. Men moved for him. Cities moved for him. Fear moved for him. But his eyes moved, fast, sharp, taking her in the way a predator studies a threat. The bruises were there, even in the low light. Purple shadows blooming along her wrist, a faint mark at her throat, and the kind of tiredness in her eyes that didn't come from a long day. She swallowed hard. "I'm not here to steal anything. That's not why you're here," Luca said. His voice wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. It carried the weight of decisions that had ended careers and lives. She flinched at his tone, then hated herself for flinching. Luca noticed that too. He glanced down at the letter again as if to confirm it was real. The envelope lay open on the desk, its seal broken. The wax had been dark red, almost black, pressed with a symbol he hadn't seen since childhood. A small crown with a slash through it. Old family mark. Not the public kind, the private kind. He looked back up. "Who are you?" She hesitated, like her name itself might trigger something dangerous. "Nora." "Nora what?" Her lips parted, then closed again. Luca stood. The room felt smaller the moment he rose, as if the walls remembered what he was and decided to lean closer. "Nora," he repeated, tasting the syllables. "You came into my building, past my men, up to my floor. In the middle of a storm." She glanced behind her like she expected the hallway to explode. "I didn't have a choice." That sentence, so simple, hit with a kind of truth Luca didn't like. He knew what no choice looked like. He'd lived inside it. He stepped around the desk, slow, controlled. His suit was dark, clean, perfect. His hands were bare, no rings, no visible weapon. But Nora could feel the danger on him like heat. He stopped a few feet away, close enough to see her trembling, far enough to let her breathe. His gaze dropped to her wrist, a small crescent-shaped scar. Nora noticed him looking and instinctively pulled her sleeve down. Luca's breath stalled. Because the letter, the one that had just arrived on his desk like a ghost, had ended its first paragraph with a line that now echoed in his head. "Trust the one with the crescent scar. She will come when the lies can no longer hold." His voice came out rougher than he intended. "Where did you get that scar?" Nora's eyes narrowed, fear trying to turn into anger because anger was safer. "It's none of your—" A loud metallic clank sounded somewhere outside the office. Nora froze. Luca didn't. He turned his head slightly, listening. The building was secured. His guards were on the floor below and in the hall. Nobody reached his door unless he allowed it. Unless... A second sound, a softer one, like a hand sliding across the wall. Nora's breathing turned shallow. "They found me." Luca's jaw tightened. "Who?" Her voice broke. "Dominic." The name hung in the air, heavy and wrong. Dominic Rizzo wasn't just a man in Luca's world, he was part of it. One of Luca's most trusted enforcers. A man who collected debts and silence for the Moretti family. A man Luca had promoted because he was loyal. Luca looked back to Nora and something inside him shifted. Slow, dangerous. "Come here," he said. Nora didn't move. Luca held out his hand, palm up. It wasn't gentle, it wasn't sweet, but it was steady. "Either you come to me," he said, or I let the hallway decide what happens next. And from the look on your face, you already know what that means." Nora's throat bobbed. She stared at his hand like it was a trap. "Have you ever been hurt so many times that even rescue looks like a weapon?" She took one step, another. When her fingers finally touched his, she felt it. Warmth under cold control. Luca pulled her behind him, positioning himself between her and the door without thinking. Like instinct, like memory, like a man who had once been a boy hiding behind his mother's skirt while someone pounded on a door. The letter on his desk seemed to watch them, and Luca realized with a sick certainty that whatever was written inside it wasn't just about his past. It was walking into his office right now. The door handle moved. Luca didn't reach for a gun. He didn't need to. He reached for the phone on his desk and pressed a button. "Lock the floor," he said into the intercom. "Now." A voice answered instantly, tense. "Boss, now," a click. Then a low mechanical hum. The security system engaged. Steel barriers slid into place somewhere in the hall. The door handle jerked again, harder. A muffled voice came through. "Open up, boss. It's me, Dominic." Nora's entire body jolted like she'd been struck. Luca's eyes stayed on the door. "You know him." Nora whispered, barely audible. "He owns my debt." Luca's mouth tightened. "Nobody owns people." A short, bitter laugh escaped Nora's throat, and it sounded like she didn't even believe her own laughter. "Not in your world." Luca's gaze flicked to her. "In my world, people try." His attention dropped again to her bruises. "Did he do that?" Nora didn't answer. Silence was an answer. Luca turned back to the door. "Dominic," he called, calm as ice. "Why are you on my floor in the middle of the night?" Dominic's voice came sharper. "A problem wandered into your building. I'm here to clean it up." Nora's nails dug into her own palm. Luca's tone didn't change. "Leave." A pause. Then Dominic laughed like a man who believed he had permission to be bold. "Boss, with respect, you don't know what she took." Luca's eyes narrowed. "What did she take?" Nora's lips parted, trembling. "I didn't want to." The door handle slammed down again. Dominic's voice rose. "She stole from me, from us, from the family." From us. That word, us, stung. Because Luca Moretti had built his empire on one rule. Loyalty is everything. But the letter on his desk was already whispering another truth. The loyalty you trust most is the blade already at your throat. Luca leaned slightly toward Nora. "Tell me," he murmured. "What did you take?" Nora's eyes were wet now, not from rain. "Proof." Luca's heartbeat hit once, heavy. "Proof of what?" Her voice cracked. "Of what he's been doing." Dominic pounded on the door. "Boss, don't listen to her. She's..." Luca snapped loud enough to make the room vibrate. "Silence." Outside, the pounding stopped. Inside, Nora stared at Luca like she'd never seen power used like that. Protective, not cruel. Luca lowered his voice again. "Nora, look at me." She did. And Luca saw it, not just fear. Shame. That particular kind of shame that comes when someone has made you believe your pain is your fault. "What did he do to you?" Luca asked. Nora tried to speak, but the words stuck. She shook her head like if she refused to say it out loud, it wouldn't become real. Luca's hand, still near hers, shifted slightly. He didn't touch her face. He didn't pull her close. He just anchored her with presence. "You're safe in this room," he said. "But if you want me to keep you safe outside it, I need truth." Nora swallowed. He found out I saw his books." Luca's brow tightened. "His books?" Nora nodded. "I work for Rizzo Holdings. I thought it was legitimate. Numbers, invoices, payroll. I kept my head down. I did what I had to do." Her voice lowered, trembling. "I have a little brother. He's sick. I needed money. Dominic knew that." Luca's gaze sharpened. "He used him." Nora's eyes squeezed shut like she couldn't hold the pain anymore. "He said I owed him, that my brother owed him, that if I didn't do what he wanted, he'd make sure the hospital stopped answering my calls." Luca's jaw flexed so hard it looked like it might crack. Nora continued, voice breaking into pieces. "I tried to leave. He laughed. He said nobody leaves him. That nobody leaves you either, that you're all the same." Luca's eyes went cold, but in his chest something was burning, because he was not supposed to feel this. He was supposed to be above it, untouchable, unshaken. And yet, the letter on his desk, the bruises on her skin, and Dominic's voice on the other side of his door were ripping through the walls Luca had built inside himself. Nora wiped her face with the back of her hand, smearing rain and tears. "I found it by accident," she whispered. A second set of ledgers, names, payments, locations. Her gaze lifted to Luca, desperate. Your name was there. Silence hit like a punch. Luca didn't blink. Explain. Nora's voice shook. He's been using your family's roots, your trucks, your warehouses, but not for what you think. Luca's stomach dropped, slow and heavy. Dominic's voice cut through the door again, sharper now. Boss, open the door. We can handle this. She's lying. She's trying to turn you against me. Luca didn't move. He stared at Nora. Nora trembled under his gaze and whispered, I didn't come here to destroy you. Luca's voice was dangerously soft. Then why did you come? Nora's eyes flicked to the desk, to the letter. I didn't bring that, she said quickly. I swear, I didn't. But when I saw your name in those ledgers, I thought maybe you were the only one who could stop him. Luca's throat tightened, because all his life, people came to him for one reason, to ask for permission to do terrible things. Nobody came to him for help, not like this. Luca walked to his desk without taking his eyes off her, picked up the letter again, and stared at the handwriting that had haunted him for years. His mother's script was elegant, slanted slightly right, like she was always in a hurry to get the truth out before someone took the pen from her hand. He read the next line, silently at first, then out loud like the words demanded air. My son, if you are reading this, then I am already gone, and the people you call family have decided the truth is too dangerous for you to hold. Luca's voice cracked on the last word. He hated that. He hated weakness. He hated emotion. He hated anything that could be used against him. And yet, his hands were still trembling. Nora watched him, confusion mixing with fear. That's your mother? Luca didn't answer. He kept reading. The man you call your father is not your father. Salvatore Moretti stole you. He built you. He shaped you, and he did it with blood on his hands. Luca's lungs forgot how to work. Salvatore Moretti, his uncle, his mentor, the man who raised him after Luca's mother died, the man Luca had kissed on the forehead at her funeral, promising to become strong, the man Luca had trusted more than anyone alive. Nora whispered, Luca. Luca didn't hear her. He kept reading, eyes moving fast, desperate, like if he read it quickly enough, the words would change into something easier. But they didn't. There was a woman once, Sophia, the girl you loved when you still believed you could be good. She didn't abandon you. She was taken because she knew what Salvatore is. And if you ever want redemption, you must find the one who brings you this letter. Luca's heart slammed because Sophia wasn't just a name. Sophia was the soft part of his past, the only girl who had ever looked at him and seen a boy instead of a weapon. She had disappeared when Luca was 20, vanishing without a trace. Salvatore had told him she ran. Salvatore had told him she was weak. Salvatore had told him Luca was too dangerous to love. And Luca had swallowed that lie like poison. Nora's voice was small. You loved someone. Luca's eyes were still on the page. The last line stared back like fate. Trust the one with the crescent scar. Protect her, because she is the key to what they did and what they will do next. Luca's gaze snapped to Nora's wrist again. Nora recoiled instinctively. I told you, I didn't bring that letter. Luca took one step toward her. His face was pale now, not from fear. Luca Moretti didn't fear men. But this was fear of truth. Where were you born? He demanded. Nora blinked, thrown. What? Answer. Nora's voice shook. I don't know exactly. Foster homes. My mother died when I was small. I have a scar because I broke a window when I was a kid. The glass. Luca's breath was sharp. Your mother's name. Nora swallowed. Marina. Luca froze, because Marina had been Sophia's sister, and Sophia, his Sophia, had once told him she had a younger sister with a little crescent scar from an accident, a little sister she promised to protect. Nora stared at Luca's face as it changed, as if he was watching the world tilt and couldn't stop it. Why are you looking at me like that? Nora whispered. Luca's voice came out like gravel. Because I think you didn't just run into my building. He stepped closer, stopping when he saw her flinch again, forcing himself to slow down. I think, he said, you were pushed here. Nora's eyes filled. I don't understand. Luca's gaze cut to the door, Dominic still outside, waiting, listening, ready. Then Luca looked back at Nora and his voice dropped to something deadly calm. I do. And for the first time that night, Nora saw it clearly. Luca Moretti wasn't just a mafia boss. He was a man who had been betrayed from the inside, and when a man like that starts pulling on one loose thread, the whole world comes apart. Luca pressed the intercom again. "Bring Salvatore to me." The voice on the other end hesitated. "Boss, it's late. Now." Nora's eyes widened. "Who's Salvatore?" Luca didn't answer right away because the name tasted like childhood, like loyalty, like lies. He looked at Nora. "The man who raised me." Nora's voice trembled. "The letter says he—" "I know what it says," Luca snapped, then caught himself, breathing hard. He turned away like he couldn't stand to see her fear. His office was full of symbols of power, paintings, trophies, a skyline view that made other men feel small. But in this moment, Luca felt like he was drowning in ink. Nora whispered, "Dominic said you'd be the same as him." Luca's head turned slightly. "And do you believe that?" Nora opened her mouth, then hesitated, because she didn't want to. But her body remembered pain. Her body remembered men who smiled before they hurt you. Luca's voice softened, barely. "Nora, I have done terrible things." She flinched at the honesty. "I don't pretend I'm a saint," Luca continued, "but I don't touch women who can't fight back, and I don't let my men do it." Nora's eyes glistened. "Then why did Dominic—" "Because Dominic thought he could hide behind my name," Luca said, and that was pure fury. He walked to a cabinet and pulled out a first aid kit, something Nora didn't expect a man like him to even own. He set it on the desk, pushed it toward her. "Sit," he ordered. Nora didn't move. Luca's gaze lifted steady. "I'm not asking twice." She sat stiff as stone. Luca didn't touch her right away. He opened the kit, took out antiseptic wipes, gauze, a small bandage. Then he looked at her, voice low. "May I?" Nora blinked at the question. Permission, respect. It hit her like a shock. She nodded once, barely. Luca knelt in front of her chair, his suit creasing at the knee like he was willing to get dirty for this. He gently took her wrist. Nora's breath caught. His fingers were warm, careful, nothing like Dominic's. Luca cleaned a small cut near her knuckles. Nora's shoulders trembled, and Luca noticed. "Does it hurt?" he asked. Nora let out a bitter laugh. "Everything hurts!" Luca's jaw tightened. "You shouldn't be used to that." Nora's eyes dropped. "I didn't choose it." Luca's gaze lifted to her face. "Not choosing something doesn't mean you deserve it." Nora swallowed hard, eyes shining like she was trying not to break. Outside the office, Dominic's voice suddenly cut in again, loud now. "Boss, if you don't open this door, you're choosing her over the family." Luca didn't even look up. "He's wrong," he murmured to Nora, almost to himself. Nora whispered, "Aren't you?" Luca paused, hand still on her wrist. Then he looked up at her, eyes dark, honest. "I don't know what family means anymore," he said. And that was the moment Nora realized the letter didn't just threaten Luca's empire, it threatened the one thing he'd built his life around, belonging. A buzzing sound vibrated on the desk. Luca's phone. A message flashed on the screen. "Salvatore is on his way." Nora's heart pounded. Luca's face hardened into something cold again, but his eyes were still burning. "Whatever Dominic did to you," Luca said quietly, "you're going to tell me everything." Nora nodded, trembling. "Okay." "And whatever this letter means," Luca continued, fingers tightening around the paper, "we're going to find out." Nora's voice was small. "What if the truth destroys you?" Luca's eyes lifted, lethal. "Then it deserves to," he said. Minutes felt like hours. The rain outside kept falling, relentless. The city below kept moving, unaware that a storm was forming on the top floor of the Moretti building, one that could tear through every alliance and lie. Nora sat on the edge of the chair, hands clasped so tight her knuckles were white. Luca stood by the window, staring down at the streets like he could see the past from up here. Finally, he spoke without turning around. "Dominic, how did you meet him?" Nora's voice trembled. "I didn't meet him. He found me." Luca's jaw tightened. "How?" Nora swallowed. "My brother, Eli. He needed treatment. The insurance wouldn't cover everything. I took extra shifts, 2 jobs, then a friend said there was easy money doing bookkeeping for a private company." Her voice cracked on the word private, like it tasted bitter now. "I thought it was just rich people hiding taxes," she whispered. "I didn't know it was him. Dominic." Luca turned slightly, eyes sharp. Nora continued faster now, like if she stopped talking, she'd start crying. "He was charming at first. He said I was smart. He said I could have a future. He helped me get Eli into a better clinic." Luca's voice cut like a blade. and then he asked for payment. Nora's shoulders shook. She nodded. He didn't ask, she whispered. He told. Luca's hand clenched into a fist at his side. Nora kept her eyes on the floor. He started small. Just calls at night, showing up where I worked, making sure I knew he was watching. Her voice went quieter, raw. Then he said, if I wanted Eli to stay alive, I needed to be obedient. Luca's breath came slow, controlled, but the anger in him was building like a furnace. Nora's eyes lifted, filled with shame. I tried to fight back once. Luca's gaze sharpened. What happened? Nora swallowed hard. He smiled. Then he reminded me my brother existed. Silence. Luca closed his eyes for one brief second like he was seeing something old. When he opened them again, his voice was colder. You found proof. Nora nodded. He kept a private set of books. Different routes, different shipments. I didn't understand at first, but then I saw payments to people in hospitals. Luca's eyes narrowed. Hospitals? Nora's voice shook. Doctors, administrators, people who can make someone disappear on paper. Luca's stomach turned. Nora looked at Luca, desperation in her eyes. I think he's done it before. I think he's... She cut herself off, trembling. Luca stepped closer. Say it. Nora's voice broke. I think he's killed people without guns. The room went still, because Luca understood violence, but this was surgical, quiet, cowardly. Nora whispered, and then I saw your company name on the routes, Moretti Logistics, your warehouses. Luca's lips pressed into a line so tight it nearly disappeared. Dominic hadn't just been corrupt. He'd been contaminating Luca's empire with something darker, and Salvatore, if the letter was true, had built Luca's entire life on a lie. The door buzzer sounded. Luca's men spoke through the intercom. Boss, Salvatore arrived. Nora's entire body tensed. Luca looked at her, eyes hard. Stay behind me, no matter what happens. Nora nodded, throat tight. The door unlocked with a heavy click. Salvatore Moretti walked in like he owned the air. He was older, silver-haired, dressed impeccably even at this hour. His eyes were sharp, calculating, and when they landed on Nora, something flickered, recognition maybe, then vanished behind a smile. My nephew, Salvatore said warmly, arms spreading. You call me out in the rain like it's an emergency. Then his gaze flicked to the letter on Luca's desk, and for the briefest second Salvatore's smile faltered. Luca saw it. Luca's voice was flat. Do you recognize that? Salvatore stepped closer, slow, careful. What is that? Luca picked up the letter and held it out, not offering, but showing. Salvatore's eyes tracked the handwriting, the seal, the symbol. He swallowed once, then smiled again, softer. Where did you find this? Luca's jaw tightened. Answer the question. Salvatore glanced at Nora, then back to Luca. You have company. Luca didn't move. Answer. Salvatore exhaled a practiced sigh. It's an old letter. Your mother wrote many things when she was sick. Grief makes people write nonsense. Luca's voice sharpened. Is it nonsense that you stole me from my father? The room stopped breathing. Nora's hand flew to her mouth. Salvatore's smile froze. Then he laughed, quietly, like he couldn't believe Luca would say something so ridiculous. Luca, Salvatore said, voice smooth, what poison is in your ear tonight? Luca slammed the letter onto the desk. My mother's words aren't poison. Salvatore's eyes hardened just a fraction. Your mother was afraid. She didn't understand the world we live in. Luca stepped forward and the temperature in the room dropped. She understood enough to warn me about you. Salvatore's gaze flicked to Nora again. And this girl? Nora flinched, but Luca's hand came back, steadying her without even looking. She has a name, Luca said. Salvatore smiled. Of course she does. Everyone has a name. Doesn't mean they matter. Nora's eyes flashed with hurt. Luca's voice turned dangerous, careful. Salvatore lifted his hand slightly. All right, let's calm down. What is it you think you know? Luca's eyes burned. Sophia. Salvatore's face went still. Luca leaned forward, voice low, lethal. Where is she? Nora's breath caught at the name. Salvatore's tone cooled. Sophia left years ago. Luca's laugh was harsh. That's the lie you fed me until I believed it. Salvatore's eyes narrowed. Luca cut him off. Don't say my name like you own it. A tense silence. Outside, muffled, Dominic's voice could be heard again down the hall, arguing with guards. Salvatore's gaze shifted, calculating. You locked your own floor. You have Dominic outside. You have this girl inside. And a letter that wants to turn you against the only family you have. Luca's jaw clenched. Salvatore stepped closer, lowering his voice like he was offering comfort. My nephew, you are tired. You are stressed. Let me take that letter. We will talk tomorrow calmly. Luca didn't move. Salvatore's smile thinned. Give it to me. Luca's voice was quiet. No. Salvatore's eyes hardened fully now. You're making a mistake. Luca's gaze locked on his. The mistake was trusting you. Salvatore's face shifted, just for a second, into something colder, something truer. Then his eyes flicked to Nora's wrist, the crescent scar. Salvatore's lips parted slightly, like recognition hit him too. Nora felt Luca go rigid. Salvatore's voice lowered. Where did you find her? Luca's eyes narrowed. You know who she is. Salvatore smiled again, but it wasn't warm. I know what she is. A complication. Nora's heart pounded. What do you mean? Salvatore ignored her, looking only at Luca. You always had a weakness for strays, Luca. Your mother had it too. That's why she died. Luca's hand twitched like he wanted to grab Salvatore by the throat. Salvatore's tone turned velvet smooth. Listen to me carefully. That girl has brought danger to your doorstep. Dominic is dealing with it. Luca snapped. Dominic abused her. Salvatore blinked once. Dominic does what is necessary. Nora's stomach dropped. Luca's voice shook with fury. Necessary! Salvatore's eyes turned icy. Do not moralize to me, Luca. We built this empire with blood and discipline, not with feelings. Luca's jaw clenched. Then you built it, not me. For a moment, Salvatore looked genuinely surprised. Then he sighed. You are emotional because you read a letter. Fine, I'll tell you the truth. Nora's heart stopped. Salvatore looked at Luca like he was talking to a child. Yes, Sophia didn't run. Sophia was taken. Luca's breath hitched. Salvatore continued calm as death. Because she knew too much. Because she wanted you out. Because she was going to ruin everything I worked for. Nora's eyes filled with tears. Luca's voice was barely a whisper. Where is she? Salvatore's gaze stayed steady. Not here. Luca stepped closer, eyes wild now. Where? Salvatore's smile returned. If she's alive, she's not your concern. The only thing that matters is whether you will continue being the leader your family needs or become a sentimental boy chasing ghosts. Nora's voice shook. You're talking about a person. Salvatore finally looked at her and his gaze was empty. People are assets. Or obstacles. Nora's breath came short, panicked. Luca's hand tightened around the edge of the desk, knuckles white. Salvatore's voice softened again, like honey over poison. Give me the girl. Give me the letter. Dominic will clean this, and you will wake up tomorrow with your world intact. Luca stared at him, and in that stare, Nora felt something shift. Like Luca was deciding what kind of man he would be, finally, because power was easy, but choosing love over loyalty, that could get you killed. Luca's voice came out like a vow. No. Salvatore's eyes narrowed. No? Luca stepped in front of Nora fully now, shielding her like it was instinct, like it was fate. I said, Luca repeated, no. Salvatore's jaw tightened. You would choose a stranger over me. Luca's voice broke slightly, just enough to show the pain underneath. I'm choosing the truth over the lie you raised me in. Salvatore's face turned hard. Then you are choosing war. Luca didn't blink. Then so be it. Salvatore took one slow step back. You think you can protect her from what's coming? Luca's eyes were deadly calm. I'm not protecting her from what's coming. He leaned forward slightly, voice low. I am what's coming. Salvatore turned and walked out, but before he left, he paused at the doorway and glanced over his shoulder. You're making the same mistake your mother made, he said softly. You're letting your heart make decisions your empire will pay for. Then he disappeared into the hall. The moment he was gone, Nora's knees nearly gave out. Luca caught her elbow, steadying her. Nora looked up at him, tears sliding down her cheeks. You just declared war on your own family. Luca's eyes were distant, haunted. I don't know if they were ever my family, Nora whispered, voice shaking. What happens now? Luca turned toward the window again, staring into the storm like he could see the future in the rain. Now, he said, we survived the people who never wanted us to know the truth. And somewhere outside, Dominic's voice rose in anger, and Nora realized the worst part. The men hunting her weren't strangers. They were Luca's. And that meant her safety wasn't just a matter of hiding. It was a matter of who Luca was willing to become. Luca moved fast after that. He ordered his security team to escort Nora to a private suite hidden behind a false wall in the building, a place even some of his own men didn't know existed. He gave Nora water, a clean towel, a soft blanket that felt unreal against her bruised skin. And still, she didn't relax, even when the door locked behind them, because Nora had learned something in her life. Locks don't protect you from men who have keys. Luca stood near the doorway, arms crossed, watching her carefully. Nora hugged the blanket around her shoulders. "Why are you doing this?" Luca's voice was flat. "Because you're in danger." Nora's eyes flashed with fear and anger. "So are you." Luca didn't deny it. Nora swallowed. "Because of me." Luca's gaze sharpened. "No, because of them." She hesitated. "That letter, you think it's real." Luca's jaw flexed. "I know it's real. That handwriting is carved into my memory." Nora's voice trembled. "And Sophia." Luca's eyes darkened at the name. "Don't." Nora whispered, "I think she was my mother's sister." Luca's head snapped toward her. "What did you say?" Nora's eyes filled. "My mother, Marina. She used to whisper about someone named Sophia when she thought I was asleep. She said Sophia was brave, that Sophia tried to save people." Her voice broke. Then one day she stopped saying her name like it hurt too much. Luca's breathing slowed, heavy. "Did your mother ever tell you where she came from?" Luca asked. Nora shook her head. "No, she just ran. She was always afraid, even before Dominic." Luca stared at Nora like the pieces were forming a picture he didn't want to see. Then his phone buzzed again. A message from his head of security. "Dominic is demanding to speak with you." "He's getting agitated." Luca's eyes went cold. Nora's voice shook. "He won't stop." Luca looked at her. "You said you took proof." Nora nodded slowly. "It's not with me." Luca's brow furrowed. "Where is it?" Nora hesitated, then whispered, "In a safe deposit box. The key is..." She stopped. Her hand went to her throat again like she couldn't breathe. Luca's voice was sharp. "What's wrong?" Nora's eyes widened, terror flooding her. "The key!" Luca stared. "What about it?" Nora swallowed hard. "Dominic took my necklace." Luca's face went still. Nora's voice broke. "He ripped it off when I tried to run." Luca's hands clenched. "The key was on it." Nora nodded, tears spilling again. "I was going to use it to free myself, to stop him, and now he has it." Luca closed his eyes for a brief second. Then he opened them, and Nora saw something that scared her more than his anger. Purpose. "I'm going to see Dominic," Luca said. Nora jolted. "No, he'll lie to you. Luca stepped closer, voice low. "I'm not going to listen." Nora's breath shook. "Then what are you going to do?" Luca's gaze held hers. "I'm going to make sure he never puts his hands on you again." Nora's voice trembled. "People have said that before." Luca's eyes softened just a fraction. "And did they mean it?" Nora's silence was answer enough. Luca exhaled, slow, like he was forcing himself not to drown in rage. Then he did something Nora didn't expect. He took off his suit jacket and placed it gently around her shoulders. The fabric was warm, heavy, smelling like him. Clean, expensive, dangerous. Nora's fingers curled into it without thinking. Luca's voice dropped, rough. "I'm not Dominic." Nora whispered, barely audible. "Prove it." Luca's jaw tightened. "I will," he said. Then he turned and left. And as the door shut, Nora sat there in the quiet, wearing the jacket of the most feared man in the city, and realizing that the safest place she'd ever been might also become the most dangerous. Because if Luca was about to face Dominic, and if Salvatore was already moving pieces behind the scenes, then tonight wasn't just about survival. It was about who would control the truth, and who would die trying to keep it buried. Downstairs, Luca walked into the private conference room where Dominic waited. Dominic stood near the table, dressed in dark clothes, his face calm, but his eyes sharp with impatience. 2 guards stood behind him, loyal to Luca, but watching Dominic carefully like they weren't sure which way the wind would blow. Dominic smiled when Luca entered. "Boss." Luca didn't sit. "Where's the girl?" Dominic asked casually, like he was talking about an object. Luca's gaze turned lethal. "You don't ask about her." Dominic's smile tightened. "I'm only trying to protect the family." Luca stepped closer, slow. "By hurting her?" Dominic shrugged. "She stole from me." Luca's eyes narrowed. She said you abused her. Dominic laughed, shaking his head. Boss, come on. She's playing you. You know women like that. Crying, shaking, making men feel like heroes. Luca's jaw clenched. Dominic leaned forward slightly. This is business. She saw things. She took things. She has to be handled. Luca's voice was quiet. Handled. Dominic nodded, confident. Yes, I can make it clean. Quiet. No noise. Luca stared at him. Then Luca asked softly, Where is her necklace? Dominic's eyes flickered, just once, but Luca saw it. Dominic smiled. What necklace? Luca's voice didn't change. The one you took from her throat. Dominic's smile thinned. Boss, you're getting emotional over a stray. That's not like you. Luca's eyes darkened. You don't know what I'm like. Dominic laughed. I know you're a Moretti. Luca's jaw tightened at the name. Dominic continued, voice smoother. Salvatore is worried about you. He thinks you're... Luca cut him off. Don't mention him. Dominic's eyes narrowed. Why? Because of some old letter? Silence slammed into the room. Dominic's smile faded. You read it. Luca stared at Dominic, and the realization hit like ice water. Dominic knew about the letter. Dominic had been part of hiding it. Luca's voice went low. How long have you worked for Salvatore? Dominic's face stayed calm, but his jaw tightened. I work for you. Luca stepped closer, close enough that Dominic could feel the threat radiating off him. Luca whispered, Lie to me again. Dominic's eyes flashed. Boss, you're making a mistake. Luca moved so fast the room barely processed it. He grabbed Dominic by the collar and slammed him against the wall. Not hard enough to draw blood, but hard enough to make the message clear. The guards tensed, reaching for weapons. Luca didn't look at them. His eyes were locked on Dominic's. You want to talk about what's a mistake? Luca hissed. Touching her was your mistake. Dominic swallowed, trying to keep his composure. You're risking everything. Luca's voice was a cold whisper. Good. Dominic's eyes narrowed. You can't protect her forever. Luca leaned closer, his voice almost gentle, almost terrifying. Watch me. Dominic's breath hitched when Luca's hand slid into Dominic's jacket pocket. Luca pulled out a small chain. A necklace. A tiny key attached to it. Luca held it up between them. Dominic's face went still. Luca's eyes burned. You took it. Dominic's voice turned sharp. You don't understand what she's involved in. Luca's grip tightened. Then explain it. Dominic's eyes flicked toward the guards like he was calculating whether he could fight his way out. Luca saw it, and in that moment, Luca knew. Dominic wasn't just dangerous because he was violent. He was dangerous because he believed he could replace Luca. Luca's voice dropped. You've been using my rotes for something darker than money. Dominic's lips curled. You think you're clean? You think you're better? Luca's eyes narrowed. I think you're a coward hiding behind my name. Dominic laughed. Salvatore built you, Luca. He can unbuild you. Luca froze, because Dominic wasn't afraid. Dominic was warning him, and that meant Salvatore was already moving. Luca slowly released Dominic, stepping back like he had control, like his hands weren't shaking with rage. Dominic straightened his collar, smirking. Let me take care of it. Let me take care of her. And this goes away. Luca stared at him for a long beat. Then Luca said quietly, No. Dominic's smile dropped. You're choosing her. Luca's voice was calm, final. I'm choosing what's right. Dominic's laugh turned bitter. Since when do we do what's right? Luca's eyes went dark. Since I found out the people I trusted are monsters. Dominic's face hardened. Then you'll have to kill me. Luca stared at him. He didn't pull a gun. He didn't strike. Instead, he said something that made the room go colder than any weapon could. I don't have to, Luca whispered, because the moment you laid your hands on her, you signed your own sentence. Dominic's eyes narrowed. You think your men will choose you over Salvatore? Luca's smile was sharp, humorless. They don't have to choose. Dominic blinked. What? Luca turned to his guards. Take Dominic downstairs. Lock him in the holding room. No contact, no calls. Dominic's eyes widened, anger flashing. You can't... Luca's voice snapped like a whip. Now. The guards moved. Dominic struggled, but they restrained him quickly. As Dominic was dragged toward the door, he shouted, voice full of venom, She's not just some girl, Luca. She's the key to everything Salvatore buried. If you keep her, you're digging your own grave. The door slammed. Silence returned. Luca stood alone for a moment, breathing hard. Then he whispered to himself, then I'll dig. And he walked back upstairs, back to Nora, holding the key like it was a promise that could save her or destroy them both. Back in the suite, Nora was pacing, wrapped in Luca's jacket, eyes wild with fear. When Luca entered, she froze. He held up the necklace. Nora gasped, a hand flying to her mouth. You got it. Luca's voice was rough. He shouldn't have taken it. Nora's eyes filled with tears. You didn't have to do that. Luca's gaze locked on hers. Yes, I did. Nora swallowed hard. Why? Luca stepped closer, stopping when he saw her tense. Because I know what it feels like to have someone bigger than you decide your life is theirs. Nora's voice trembled. You don't know what he... Luca's eyes flashed. I know enough. Nora stared at him, breath shaking. Luca held the necklace out slowly. Tell me where the box is. Nora took the necklace, fingers trembling. Downtown, Fifth National Bank, box 214. Luca nodded. We go now. Nora's eyes widened. Now? Luca's voice was firm. Salvatore is moving, Dominic is moving. If we wait, the proof disappears, or you do. Nora's breath hitched. You think they'd... Luca's eyes were cold. I know they would. Nora's knees felt weak. Luca watched her, his expression shifting. Less boss, more man. He lowered his voice. Nora, you're not alone tonight. Nora swallowed hard. I've been alone my whole life. Luca's gaze softened just a fraction. Then let tonight be different. Nora stared at him, searching his face like she was looking for the trap. What if you're worse? She whispered. What if you're just another cage? Luca's breath was slow. Then you'll walk away, and I won't stop you. Nora blinked, shocked. Luca's voice was low, honest. But if you stay, I'll protect you. Nora's eyes filled with tears again, because protection wasn't supposed to sound like a choice. And in that moment, something inside her cracked. Not the kind that breaks you, the kind that finally lets the light in. If you're still here, still feeling every heartbeat of this story, take 1 second. Like the video. It tells me you want more intense mafia romance stories like this. Subscribe if you love cinematic drama with real emotion. And comment below, what would you do if you were Nora, trust Luca, or run? I read every comment, and your answer might shape the next story. They moved through the city like shadows. Luca's car was black, silent, with tinted windows that made the world outside look farther away. Nora sat in the passenger seat, hands clenched in her lap, the necklace key wrapped in her fist like a lifeline. Luca drove without music, without small talk, eyes scanning mirrors, streets, reflections, and glass. Nora whispered, Are we being followed? Luca didn't look at her. Not yet. That yet made Nora's stomach twist. The bank was nearly empty at this hour, but Luca didn't go through the front entrance. He led Nora through a side door, nodded once to a security guard who clearly knew him, and within minutes they were standing in a private vault room. Nora's hands shook as she slid the key into the lock. She turned it. The box opened. Inside were papers neatly stacked, ledgers, names, photos. A flash drive. Nora exhaled a shaky breath. This is it. Luca's eyes scanned the documents quickly, his face turning colder with each page. Payments, dates, medical facilities, routes, and beneath it all, an ugly pattern. Trafficking, disguised as patient transfers, not just drugs, not just money, people. Nora's voice broke. I didn't know at first. I swear I didn't. When I understood, I wanted to throw up. Luca's hands tightened on the paper. Then he saw a familiar signature. Salvatore. Luca went still. Nora whispered, He's involved. Luca stared at the signature like it was a bullet. Then he found another name, Sophia Marin. His throat closed. A date beside it, a facility, a location. Nora watched Luca's face change, and fear crawled through her. Luca, what is it? Luca's voice was barely a whisper. She was here. Nora's eyes widened. Sophia? Luca nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the page like it might disappear. All these years, his breath shook. She didn't run. She didn't die. She was processed like a file. Nora's hand flew to her mouth, tears spilling. No! Luca's eyes lifted, burning with a rage that felt holy. And in that moment, Nora realized the truth didn't just shatter Luca's world. It gave him a mission. And missions in the Mafia didn't end clean. A sound echoed in the vault hallway. Footsteps. Fast. Luca snapped his head up. He grabbed the papers, shoved them into a bag, pocketed the flash drive. Nora's heart raced. Luca? Luca's voice was sharp. Behind me. The door to the vault room swung open. A man stood there, one of Luca's guards, but his face was pale. Boss, he said urgently, we have a problem. Luca's eyes narrowed. What? The guard swallowed. Salvatore just took control of the building. Nora's blood ran cold. The guard's voice shook. And he told everyone, you're unstable. He said you're compromised. Luca's jaw clenched. He's staging a coup. The guard nodded. And Dominic is gone. Nora's breath hitched. Gone? The guard's face tightened. Freed by someone on the inside. Luca's eyes turned deadly. Nora's voice trembled. He's coming for me. Luca's hand tightened around the bag. He's coming for both of us. And suddenly the bank vault didn't feel like protection. It felt like a trap. They barely made it out of the bank's back exit before the night exploded into motion. 2 cars slid into the alley, headlights cutting through rain. Nora froze. Luca didn't hesitate. He shoved Nora behind him, his body a shield, and his voice turned into command. Get in the car, now. Nora's feet moved on instinct. Luca's men sprang forward, weapons raised, not firing wildly, not recklessly, but precise, controlled. A tense standoff in the rain, no gore, no chaos, just the terrifying quiet of men deciding who lives. From the nearest car, a door opened, and Dominic stepped out, smiling like a man who thought he'd already won. He raised his hands mockingly. Boss. There you are. Luca's eyes were ice. You shouldn't be free. Dominic's smile widened. Salvatore agrees. Nora's heart pounded so hard it hurt. Dominic's gaze slid past Luca to her, and Nora felt like she was being grabbed again. Dominic's voice turned sweet. Hello, Nora. Nora flinched. Luca stepped slightly, blocking Dominic's view. You don't speak to her. Dominic laughed. You're really playing hero tonight. Luca's voice was low. I'm ending a problem. Dominic's smile faded. You think you can end me without ending yourself? Then Dominic's eyes sharpened and his voice dropped venomous. You read the files, he said. You saw Sophia's name? Luca's jaw clenched. Dominic took one slow step forward. Did it break your heart? Knowing she was alive, and you never saved her? Nora's breath hitched. Luca's eyes burned with pain and fury. Dominic smiled like he loved it. Salvatore said you'd react exactly like this. Luca's voice shook with rage. Where is she? Dominic shrugged. Maybe she's alive, maybe she's not. Either way, you're too late. Luca stepped forward, and for a second it looked like he might become the monster the city feared. But then Luca's hand lifted, not to strike, not to shoot, to reach behind him, to find Nora's trembling fingers. He squeezed once, grounding her. Then he looked at Dominic and said something that made Nora's chest ache. I'm not doing this for revenge, Luca said. I'm doing this because nobody should ever live like you made her live. Dominic's eyes narrowed. You're turning soft. Luca's gaze hardened. No. He took another step. I'm turning honest. Dominic's smile turned cruel. Honest gets you killed. Luca's voice was calm. Then I'll die clean. Dominic's eyes flicked to Nora again and he grinned. She won't. Nora's stomach dropped. Dominic moved fast. Too fast, lunging toward Nora like he wanted to drag her back into darkness. Luca reacted instantly. He intercepted Dominic with a hard shove, slamming him into the side of the car. Dominic swung. Luca blocked. The sound of fists against rain-soaked fabric, shoes slipping on wet pavement. Nora's breath caught in her throat as she watched Luca fight. Not like a wild man, not like an animal, like a man protecting something fragile. Dominic snarled, "She belongs to me!" Luca's voice was a growl. Nobody belongs to you. Dominic reached into his jacket. Luca saw it. Luca's hand shot out, grabbing Dominic's wrist, twisting it just enough to force the weapon to drop without describing anything graphic, just a clatter on the pavement. Luca kicked it away. Dominic's eyes widened. For the first time, fear flickered. Luca leaned close, voice low enough only Dominic could hear. You touched her, Luca whispered, and you used my name to do it. Dominic spat. Salvatore will bury you. Luca's eyes were cold. Not before I bury the truth into the light. Luca's men restrained Dominic, pulling him back. Dominic struggled, shouting, You can't protect her. You can't protect Sophia. You can't protect anyone. Nora's eyes filled with tears. Because Dominic wasn't just threatening. He was trying to make Luca doubt his own humanity. Luca didn't look at Dominic anymore. He looked at Nora, and in his gaze, Nora saw something she'd never seen from any man in her life. A promise without ownership. A promise without payment. Get in the car. Luca said softly to her, I've got you. Nora's throat tightened. Why? Luca's voice broke, just slightly. Because someone should have had Sophia. Nora climbed into the car, shaking. As Luca followed, the city lights smeared across the windows, and Nora realized they weren't driving toward safety. They were driving toward war, but for the first time, she wasn't facing it alone. Hours later, hidden in a safe house outside the city, the storm finally softened. The world was quiet, except for the drip of rain from the roof and the low hum of distant traffic. Nora sat on the edge of a bed in a small room, hugging her knees. Luca stood near the door, watching her like he didn't trust the world not to hurt her again. Nora whispered, What now? Luca's voice was tired. Now I dismantle Salvatore. Nora's eyes widened. He raised you. Luca's jaw clenched. He built me into a weapon. Nora's voice shook. And Sophia? Luca's eyes closed briefly. If she's alive, I find her. Nora swallowed. And if she's... Luca cut her off, voice rough. Don't. Silence filled the room like water. Then Nora whispered, I'm sorry. Luca looked at her, confused. For what? Nora's tears slipped again. For bringing this into your life. Luca stepped closer, slow. He sat on the chair across from her, not too close, not crowding her. Nora, he said quietly, my life was built on lies long before you walked into my office. Nora's voice was fragile, but now your world is falling apart. Luca's gaze held hers. Maybe it needed to. Nora stared at him, breathing shaky. You don't even know me. Luca's voice was low. I know you flinch when someone moves too fast. I know you apologize when you're the one bleeding. I know you carry guilt like it's oxygen. Nora's breath hitched. Luca continued softer. And I know you still came to me, even when you had every reason to believe I'd be like him. Nora whispered, I didn't come because I trusted you. Luca nodded. I know. Nora's eyes searched his face. Then why did you save me? Luca's jaw tightened, and for a moment he looked like he was fighting something inside himself. Then he said it. Simple, devastating. Because when I looked at you, Luca whispered, I saw the girl my mother begged me to protect. Nora's hand flew to her chest like she couldn't breathe. Luca's eyes were dark, vulnerable. And because when you said you didn't choose it, I remembered I didn't choose mine either. Nora's voice trembled. What do you mean? Luca exhaled slowly. I was a child when Salvatore took control of my life. He told me weakness was death. He told me love was a liability. His gaze dropped briefly. Sophia was the only person who ever made me believe I could be something else. Nora whispered, and he took her. Luca nodded once, pain flickering. Nora's tears fell silently. Luca's voice turned gentle in a way that felt almost impossible for a man like him. You deserve to be safe, he said. Not because you're useful, not because you're the key, not because of a letter. He looked at her steadily. Because you're human. Nora's breath shook. I don't feel human anymore. Luca's eyes softened. Then let me remind you. Nora stared at him, heart pounding. Not because she wanted him, because she was terrified she did. Terrified of needing someone. Terrified of trusting. Terrified of hope. Luca didn't touch her. He just stayed. And somehow that made Nora's chest ache more than any forced embrace ever could. Nora whispered, voice breaking, What happens when the monster the world fears becomes your only shelter? Luca's gaze held hers. Then you learn the monster was made, not born. Nora swallowed hard. Can a broken heart really heal in the arms of someone even more broken? Luca's voice was rough. I don't know. He paused, but I want to try. Nora's tears fell freely now. And Luca Moretti, Mafia Boss, feared king of the city, reached out slowly, stopping inches from her hand, not taking, offering. Nora stared at his hand, trembling. Then she placed her fingers in his. Luca's grip was steady, protective, not possessive. And in that quiet room, with rain whispering outside like a secret, Nora realized something terrifying. Her life would never be the same. Because the truth had shattered Luca's world, but in the ruins, something new was trying to grow. Something dangerous, something tender, something that could either save them or destroy them both. The next morning, Luca's phone rang with a message that made his blood run cold. A location, a facility, a name. Sophia was transferred 2 days ago. Nora watched Luca read it, and she saw it. The way his eyes hardened again, the way his jaw set like stone. He looked at Nora, voice low. "They're moving her," he said, "or they're moving the evidence she's alive." Nora's heart pounded. "What are you going to do?" Luca's gaze was fierce. "What I should have done years ago." He paused, then added softly, "And what I'm doing now, I'm doing it with you safe." Nora swallowed, fear rising. Salvatore won't stop. Luca's voice was calm, deadly. "Neither will I." He turned toward the door, then looked back at Nora one more time, eyes dark with something that felt like fate. "This isn't over," he said. "It's just beginning." And as Luca Moretti stepped out to hunt the truth that was stolen from him, Nora sat in the quiet, gripping his jacket tighter around her shoulders, wondering if the man who promised to protect her would survive the war he just started. If this story moved you, if you felt Nora's fear, Luca's fury, and that fragile spark of healing, please like the video. Subscribe and turn on the bell because there are new Mafia romance stories every week on this channel. And comment, "I believe in second chances if you think even the most broken people deserve a new beginning." And when you're done, watch another video on this channel, another story where love walks straight into danger and refuses to leave.